Tron Ares reviews are out, and quite frankly, I'm not sure who's more disappointed in them. The creators of the movie, or me. So bad, it makes you wish AI would hurry up and destroy Hollywood. A shambolic film populated by some of the most aggressively charmless characters ever seen in a blockbuster. 1 out of 5. An ethically dubious, horribly written nadir and franchise slop. The worst film of the year, and a new low for Disney. And with Disney, that bar is so low, it's genuinely impressive when you can limbo under it. Normally involves you cutting off people's legs. Disney's pathetic, generic, idea-free brand exploitation. A premise, but only in the same way that a fashion collection has a story. An exhausting, overproduced, nauseating, tedious sci-fi. If AI is really about to destroy Hollywood, Ares has certainly got the ball rolling on its behalf. A great soundtrack, while the movie completely sucks. And it is tracking for a $45 million to $50 million opening, which is the same as Tron Legacy 15 years ago. Impressive, if we hadn't printed off more money than God over the last 15 years. When the first trailer was released, it looked like it couldn't miss. It looked awesome, it had a great soundtrack. All they had to do was repeat the style of the original film, and they would have had a banger. It even looked good when it came to the cons, and they proved they could put on a show in real life. The problem was as more details came out.
It might be worse than you think it's going to be.
This was not good.
I'll say it's all in the script, and here it's pretty weak. The
Plot and dialogue. That's the big problem with this movie.
I mean, even at the premiere, all of this looks kind of cool, especially that bike, but there were weaknesses, and it kind of shows itself even more when you see it move. I like those robots, it's just not really ready for prime time at the moment, is it? Much like the characters of this show. First we got pictures of the cast, which made you realise why the AI wanted to wipe out everyone on Earth. They arrived in Portland. Then you find out about the story, about how at the end of the second movie, Sam realised that he should take over his father, Kevin Flynn's legacy, and build and protect the company. Because it's important. It was actually a great message that a son has a duty to continue his father's legacy, a duty to build and protect that legacy so he can pass it on to future generations. That him improving the world improves it for his children, which is why he should try. Yeah, that's lost in this movie though, they're burning that to the ground because they don't care. Ares will reveal that in the 14 years between films, Sam destroyed the company, ran it into the ground, and only now does Eve Kim resurrect the company by developing Fortnite. Oh, she'll take Kevin Flynn's company and evolve it for one reason. They made an entire movie called Legacy, and then in the third one, decided Legacy didn't matter. So you begin to see why the reviews are not good. And these are the full reviews. They get embargoed after the social media reactions, because the social media reactions are generally more positive. You can control who you invite to them. And so the early reactions are always the most hyped, the most over the top, the most enthusiastic. Issue was they weren't good either. Stunning visuals, but vapid and inept storytelling. Nostalgic pandering, which is pretty amazing they can do it when they've ditched all of the story from the past. You'd have thought nostalgia would have continued the second movie, but they thought, no, we need a new direction. Visually stunning, extremely dumb, with basic characters. I don't understand how you got basic characters when this is your crew. That's like lining up the axis of evil, who think they're esoteric because they added an extra shot of wheatgrass in their soy latte this morning. I really pushed the boat out today, Shaniqua. Of all the reviews, I think the most positive was, this is the best Tron film by a landslide. It's made with love. Bring your tissues. But not because it's a sad movie. They must have seen Alien Earth in the cinema because of all the white goo everywhere.
I'd quite like to try and pull off an elf.
Milk for the child.
Stop, please stop.
Thrilling, pulse-pounding, visually spectacular. The story may be simple though, but it's got a good soundtrack. Watch it in IMAX because it may just distract from the bad characters. It's the coolest looking film you'll see this year. The story may not grip you though. And I think my favourite cope out of all of them was Tron Ares debut with 57%. That's the second highest score of 3 movies. It's like saying you're the second best parent at raising your kids. Even a crack addict can achieve that award. And besides, this was all said when Ares was 57%. Legacy was 51%. And the issue is, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes now, it's at 53. There is still time for that to drop another 3 points. A visually stunning film in every way, non-stop action. But it's the women that steal the show. Greta Lee is outstanding, and that's backed up by other reviews. Slick, radical, eye-popping. But it's the women who steal the show. I like the idea that you've both written stolen the show.
Very well.
Few shaky moments in dialogue though, but the score makes up for it. Nothing about the plot makes any sense. but it sounds great doing it. As you can see, social media reactions tend to be, "This is amazing!" Red flag, red flag. Very subtle red flag, though. Almost complimentary red flag. The Hollywood Reporter themselves attempted this, where they said it's a refreshingly subdued performance from Jared Leto. That is quite possibly the nicest way I've ever heard someone go, he can't act. It's like saying Arnold Schwarzenegger has an interestingly neutral face, a remarkable talent for generic expressions, or that a house has natural central heating when it's literally on fire. But my favourite reaction, as always, came from Grace Randolph. It checks all the boxes. Got every identity group under the sun in it. Got a male cast member, but it's really led by woman, soy, woman. It's got all the enrichment. Strongly recommend it in 3D. Otherwise, you'll be distracted for most of the movie thinking, I should have seen this in 3D. Presumably because you'll enjoy it best with a migraine, as then you can't focus on the plot. An audio-visual treat. Unfortunately, there is the rest of the movie. Awkward humour. Can we stop trying to James Gunn everything? James Gunn isn't talented enough to copy. Greta and Jodie Turner-Smith as standouts. To be fair, I do think these pictures accurately summarise the movie. Is Jared Leto in any of them? No, he's not important. And Grace even backs that up herself, since a lot of you are asking. Jared Leto is technically the lead, but it's very much an ensemble movie. It doesn't really matter. It's Greta and Jodie Turner-Smith in particular getting a lot of the screen time. So basically, it's a bait and switch to characters you don't care about.
You're pure evil.
And you're just another man taking credit for a woman's work.
Tron Ares is very much a modern movie with modern themes. In fact, the entire backbone of the story is that Jared Leto is supposed to wipe out Greta, but refuses to because she cares about the weather, and therefore they have to send Jodie Turner-Smith out to fight him. The most military damage she'd be able to withstand is a particularly ugly hangnail. Some people were really stretching for compliments. Well, the story's middle portion is pretty thrilling. What about the start and the end, though? Kinda liked a bit of the middle. It's a very strange world of critics we live in now, where it's less about what they say and more the outline of the things they won't talk about. They'll review the bits they like and not the rest. It's an IMAX must. That's a very common saying. Even the movie came out with a trailer specifically with that message.
Ares was filmed specifically for IMAX.
New, especially for IMAX. Sitting in an IMAX theater, it's such an immersive experience.
Cannot replicate the experience of IMAX.
And just completely of their own volition, all of the critics agreed. It's like magic. Never digs deeper than the surface. Emotionally empty. Pros. Cast. I doubt that. Visuals. Chase sequences. Fights. Cons. Everything else. The second act drags. That was the only bit he liked. The script changes during a scene. Overall package, 7.5 out of 10. What? I liked the visuals. The visuals and the visuals. Everything else is ass 7.5. I find people review on very different scales to one another. Even Gillian Anderson can't slap this mind-bending, dull sci-fi into shape. 1 out of 5. From The Guardian. You know you're in trouble when The Guardian doesn't like it. They like communism. Their standard is the complete annihilation of society, and you didn't meet it. A lackluster reboot that loses the source code's charm. A sequel nobody asked for with little reason to exist. Disney's latest example of creative confusion. Bland. Surface level. Why bother? Gorgeously hollow. Simply a long music video. The plot isn't the thing, neither is the spectacle. Uninspired soft reboot that spends much of its time over-explaining a plot that's as convoluted as it is predictable. Nothing below the surface. Actively resists accepting what makes the series so fun. Well, I'm really not surprised. The original stories were about men, life, and coming to age. How a man should conduct himself in the world, and why. Whereas in this movie, well, it's the women that steal the show, and so you'll be coming at the universe from an entirely different direction, for an entirely different audience, with different themes. I'm surprised someone didn't bang a werewolf in it.
Way to set feminism back a few decades.
Reheats Legacy's plot without having a son to leave a legacy. You can't have a random woman repeat Legacy's plot, because she's not his legacy. A story with scant signs of life. Ares has the visual flair of a mobile game, and a thematic depth that makes the original feel like it was written by philosophers. Tantalizing sci-fi ideas that the filmmakers weren't the least bit interested in exploring. Tron Ares will make you want to log off. There is a small group of films whose names double as reviews. Tron Ares is just a switch of its last 2 letters away from joining the club. I suddenly have an overwhelming need to title this video Tron Arse. If only YouTube would understood what I meant when I said it. Ares makes a less persuasive job than its predecessor because Light Bikes comes buried under 2 hours of bloated and unabsorbing non-plot, populated by some of the most aggressively charmless characters seen in a blockbuster since the Star Wars prequels. Now, calm down. That would also include the Star Wars sequels. Leto is painted in an absurdly flattering light throughout. In the film's wholly shambolic first act, Leto serves as the villain, but after rebelling against his creator and being supplanted by his former right-hand woman, tell you what, no wonder he was a shambolic villain.
Another case of a man taking credit for a woman's work.
He reinvents himself as Eve's sworn defender, dodging peril that feels no realer in the flesh and blood world than in the computerized one. Well, that would be because they're both as real as each other in Tron, but anyway. Gillian Anderson has nothing to do but tut. Just push her off her roof. Nobody wants harpies whining at people in a movie, especially an action movie. One of a number of spots where the reshoot joins are visible. Leto-centric epilogue is an unwitting hoot, a David Brent vision of Maverick Cool. Do you think he dances? If AI is really about to destroy Hollywood, then Ares has certainly got the ball rolling on its behalf. This movie creates a novel scenario, a kind of inescapable, torturous psychic loop. The brain stalls at each techno-babble line of dialogue, only for it to be periodically zapped back into consciousness when a new track by Nine Inch Nails starts vibrating the butt cheeks. From despair to euphoria, Disney has lost crucial critical ground at the box office and has decided to revive a series with no real cultural footprint. Leto sees his role as an artificial being as an excuse to be as flat as possible, which doesn't make any sense. Tron isn't the Terminator. In the previous Trons, the AI programs had personalities and expressions. I think they were meant to seem like human with their own personalities. So that is an odd choice. Kudos to Turner Smith, at least, for nailing the robot stride and the cool-tipped, efficient menace. If you find Jodie Turner-Smith menacing, you need to eat a bit more steak. In fact, eat anything which isn't vegetarian. We're meant to root for Eve, which has a sinister edge as she's first introduced, preaching about AI's potential to resurrect dead relatives. The idea that Eve should be our hero in a film made by a studio with a long track record of digital necromancy doesn't exactly go down easily. Sure, we have a new Nine Inch Nails album, but at what cost? And Rolling Stone's contribution to the commentary is, and well, it shouldn't feel like a subversive move to make a progressive woman of color the hero of a big-budget IP designed to dominate multiplexes from San Jose to Seoul. Well, let's put it a different way. Have you been paying attention to 2025? Have you? The reviews for this movie has dropped a point while I've been recording. Maybe they should stop trying to hire so many progressive people and instead hire ones that represent the audience. Tron Ares is a hack job, and the most annoying kind, because it hides beneath a thin veneer of superficial competence. It has no ideas. Instead, it has plot. Lots and lots of tedious plot. Ares is evolving past his programming, seeking the key to permanence as he can only survive for 29 minutes. All our heroes have to do is drive an hour outside of town, and the whole plot would dissolve like a flan in a cupboard. Yeah, you didn't think that one through, did you? You could actually show that in real time as the movie is 2 hours long. Greta Lee spends the whole movie just running from bad guys and fixing computers. She has a backstory, but it just gets explained to her by a man she met 30 minutes ago. He also tells her complete character arc, which she dutifully does. Look, maybe you can see the future. It takes every possible thing away from Greta Lee. It's a thankless role. I hope she was paid well. Well, I mean, Grace Randolph seemed to like it. That was probably the first red flag, wasn't it? Ares is a one-note entity who desperately needed another actor to twinkle in their eye. The movie makes us feel like we're trapped in the failed Nintendo Virtual Boy. It's a recipe for headaches. Maybe someone behind the scenes thought the problem with Tron and Tron Legacy was that they were gorgeous. Don't worry, that era of Tron is over. It's hard to imagine any fan of Tron getting excited about the most generic Tron yet, and hard to imagine all the audiences who weren't interested before suddenly getting stoked now that it's boring. With all the talk about AI in the real world, it's exactly the wrong time to release a Tron with nothing to say about the topic. Then again, it's always the wrong time to release a bad movie. Skip this film, watch the old ones, but listen to all the scores. At one point, Evan Peters gets a smack in the face from Gillian Anderson. That's a bit of firm parenting you might feel like handing out to every producer involved in the film. Bridges has a Leaden Legacy cameo in wise white robes, like a pound shop Jor-El on Krypton. Leto is unremittingly, unrelentingly awful here. He isn't helped by a limp plot point, which is supposed to allow him to show flashes of empathy, but there is no drama or jeopardy or human interest anywhere. This franchise now looks about as urgently contemporary as an in-car CD player. This is another weird case where the trends are the same for all reviews, positive and negative. It looks good, it sounds great, but the plot is a weakness, the characters are a weakness, and the story doesn't really have any depth, any analysis, any real content or substance to it. In fact, whether you like or dislike the movie seems to just come down to your weights on those certain things. Do you like style over substance? You'll probably like it. But if you want something more from a movie, you're going to struggle. In fact, there was a good summary of it on Twitter. The negative reviews: this sucks, but at least it's pretty. The positive reviews: the film is pretty. I wish it didn't suck. And I'd like to say this was a surprise, but it really wasn't. I was looking forward to it after the trailers because it looked great, sounded great, and you don't really expect any substance from the movie in a teaser. Then, as the second trailer came out, it's a bit more cautious. You find out more about the characters, about the girl bosses, and you realize this is a very modern bait and switch, effeminate movie. And then you find out about the story and how they threw away the sequels and decided to destroy the father and son's legacy, only to be replaced by a woman inventing Fortnite, and everything really becomes clear. I still wanted to have hope because I really wanted to like this movie, but I'm not surprised by the outcome. And until Hollywood learns that it needs to hire masculine men of principle to write their stories, rather than stunted people who value virtue signaling about how they agree with all the right opinions that everyone else has, then you're going to continue to get the same dull void of a story, one that replaces deeds with identity, where the main virtue, the main value in Hollywood is DEI. Tron was probably dead as an idea from the moment Disney decided to make it, because Disney doesn't understand who needs to be making the movies, rather than who they want to make them. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.